welcome aboard. This is Captain Steve. We're working on a toilet restoration this week for another boat owner. We've discovered some problems with the toilet, and so we're taking it out, fixing it up, and we're going to show you all the parts of that so that if you have problems with yours, you can fix yours too. So welcome aboard. Alright, so here's the culprit of our problem. There's nothing really wrong with the toilet. The problem is that every time the boat owner was flushing this thing, that you can see on the back there that it was just leaking down the back. And guess what? There's a huge hole right here. So the water was leaking down through there, again, traveling underneath here and right underneath the flooring, the sole. So that's why this is squishy. It's not rotten, but it has absorbed some water. So we first started opening up this compartment, cleaning it out. Again, I use bleach to kind of get in there and kill any mold or bacteria in that. And again, the whole unit is drying out right now. They've not been using this toilet for several days. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the entire mounting brackets off. That's here, here, and behind here, and over here, and get all that taken up. And then we're going to be sealing this up, probably put a piece of starboard down on top of that, and I'm fixing that to the fiberglass hull, and then that should take care. Then we'll reset the toilet after we clean it. All this needs to be taken apart and resealed and cleaned, and then after that it should just be fine. So that'll be our task. That's where we're at. And so okay, we've pulled the toilet forward. You can see we've just disconnected this from the strainer here. We're going to take off this incoming pipe here, taking the clamp off. We're going to pull that free just a second. Then we're going to take all this up on the dock and clean it. You can see where this was leaking badly back here. Again, going down that hole. Why there's a hole, I have no idea. But the owner didn't see it either. And so that's what was getting into the floorboards right underneath this, because the sole of the boat, of course, lays just underneath this area here to give it support. So we will basically clean all this up and put a good foundation down for it, then remount the toilet after we clean it up. Alright, these bolts on the bottom, you can see them through the bottom there. They're 10 millimeters. We're using a 10 millimeter socket and then a wrench, a 10 millimeter wrench on the bottom to get these off. And then we'll be able to pull this gasket. Alright, here's the parts that you got. This is your bowl. We've taken the bracket off. This is your seating bracket right here. The little drain plug that is an emergency clean out on it is stuck shut, and I am not going to mess with it right now. And then that, of course, is your pump. And there's your lid. All this is going to get washed down, cleaned up real good, and then we're going to start putting our petroleum jelly on all the gaskets, especially these seals here, and getting them all fitted out. The culprit of the deal was back here, and it's of course rusted completely away, and we'll need to have that replaced. Okay, we've cleaned up the area, and we've gone ahead and put a piece of starboard, very thin piece down there, to cover the hole. We've sealed it. And now we're going to go ahead and remount the toilet to the unit. Okay, this is the part that is that's been damaged. You can see where it just basically has broken off and completely corroded. This is the new piece. This is called an intake elbow from Jabsco. It's about a $35 to $40 part. You've got several different pieces here. These are going to be the external couplings. This is the internal coupling, and again, these all needed to be greased up with your petroleum jelly. Always put petroleum jelly on any of these rubberized seals to keep the salt water from destroying them, as this one was. So once we have this all greased up, we'll go downstairs and show you how we insert this and attach it into the toilet. Right, we're going to be greasing these up with our petroleum jelly, as you've you've watched the show before, you realize that petroleum jelly is a very good thing to have. And we'll put that on all the seals. None of the seals really look cracked. This doesn't look cracked in any way. So we'll put that on there, and we'll put this on here. Around that lip where it's going to seal. We'll put some on. Okay, so you can see where this gasket, it's been greased. It just slides in there. That piece slides into it, and then these things slide in together. Next, we're going to be putting on this metal ring around it, and then we will be putting on the O-ring around that and tightening all of this together, making sure it's good and tight and sealed. Again, this is where your petroleum jelly comes in to seal that edge, make it good and tight. Alright, we've moved inside because it's raining like all get out up there, but you can see where we've gone ahead and put the intake elbow on. Again, this should, you can use a wrench on this, but you can usually get this pretty much hand tight by just twisting both pieces and getting it on there. Again, our tube, we've got a lot, this is going to back right up to the back part of that head space area, so this has got to be really flush in here. And then the tube, of course, is being hooked into the pump system here, so our water will be all set. So just easier to go ahead and get these things connected while you're out. The next step is to bring it back into the head and go ahead and reattach it to the floorboards. Alright, we're going to give you a status report on the reinstall. Again, you saw, the intake tube was installed outside. We've gone ahead and put the draw tube back on, and we've attached the masticator to the bottom. Both the flange down here, that is a valve flange, and the masticator have been replaced and greased and reinstalled because they had a lot of calcification on it. There's still a lot of calcification down here in this old bowl, but it's not cracked in any way, so there's really no reason to replace it at this time. We're going to go ahead and set the screws. I go ahead and reinstall everything, then I can get the toilet positioned where I want it, and then go ahead and put the screws back in where they need to be. And this is all dried up and sealed right now, so we won't have that problem that we've had in the past. So we are ready to bundle up this project and call it a day. Okay, the last thing that we did for this is go ahead and get the toilet functional and primed. We used about 2 gallons of water. Again, set your selector not to go into your holding tank, just flush it overboard because we're just flushing regular water here. Again, we're going to set our selector so that it starts pulling water from that, and then the 2 gallons that we dumped in there. First, I dumped 1 gallon in and just made sure that all the seals around the bottom were dry. There's no wet. Everybody is good. Then as we pumped, we made sure the hoses were all sealed correctly and dry too. So now we have a fully operational toilet, sucking in water and looking good and making everybody happy with how it's operating.